In the intricate world of global finance, a quiet yet seismic shift is underway, one that could redefine economic landscapes. This shift is signaled by a remarkable surge in trade among BRICS nations, which has now surpassed an impressive $648 billion. This figure is significant not just for its sheer size, but for what it represents: a deliberate and strategic move away from the dominance of the US dollar. The BRICS countries are no longer merely discussing de-dollarization. They're actively constructing the necessary infrastructure to make this vision a reality. Each transaction settled in local currencies like the yuan, rupee, or ruble contributes to this emerging financial architecture, reinforcing their economic independence. This is a methodical and strategic process, gaining momentum and challenging a financial system that's been in place since the end of World War II. The $648 billion milestone sends a clear and unmistakable message. A significant portion of the world economy is charting its own independent course. For decades, the dollar has reigned as the king of global trade, granting the US immense economic leverage and influence. By bypassing the dollar, BRICS nations are signaling their desire for a more balanced, multipolar world, where power is more evenly distributed. This trend is fueled by both economic ambition and political frustration, with a dollar-centric system seen as outdated and easily weaponized against them. Trading in their own currencies is not only a strategic economic move, but also a push for greater national sovereignty and self-determination. BRICS began as an investment concept: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and later South Africa. Over time, it's become a formal platform for geopolitical cooperation, holding annual summits and coordinating on global issues. In 2024, BRICS expanded, welcoming Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iran, and Egypt, major energy producers and strategic players. This expansion gives BRICS control over critical trade routes and a larger share of global economic output. The inclusion of traditional US allies signals a broader realignment in global politics. The expanded BRICS Plus bloc aims to create alternative structures to the Western-led order, with de-dollarization as a central pillar. De-dollarization means reducing the world's dependence on the US dollar for trade and reserves. It's a movement that's gaining momentum as countries seek more control over their own economic destinies and want to avoid being overly influenced by the policies of a single nation. For decades, nearly every major transaction, from oil to electronics, has been settled in dollars. This has made the dollar the backbone of global commerce, shaping how countries interact and do business with each other. BRICS is pushing for direct trade in national currencies, like the yuan or rupee, to gain economic sovereignty. By trading in their own money, these nations hope to strengthen their economies and reduce their exposure to external shocks. Relying on the dollar makes countries vulnerable to US monetary policy and sanctions. A single decision in Washington can ripple across the globe, affecting interest rates, inflation, and even access to international markets. For sanctioned nations like Russia and Iran, alternatives to the dollar are a matter of survival. Without access to the dollar system, they must find creative ways to keep their economies running and maintain trade relationships. Even US allies are wary of over-reliance on a single currency, seeing the dollar's power as a potential risk. They're exploring ways to diversify, ensuring they're not caught off guard by sudden policy changes or geopolitical tensions. Diversifying reserves and trade is like an insurance policy, building a more resilient global financial system. It helps countries weather economic storms and adapt to a rapidly changing world. The goal isn't to destroy the dollar, but to create a multipolar currency world where the dollar coexists with others. This would foster healthy competition and give nations more options for conducting business. Imagine a Brazilian company paying an Indian supplier in reals or rupees without converting to dollars. This could open up new opportunities for trade and investment between emerging economies. This would make trade simpler, cheaper, and less subject to outside political influence. It could also reduce transaction costs and speed up business deals, benefiting companies and consumers alike. The movement is about reducing risk and increasing choice. By having more options, countries can better protect themselves from financial shocks and uncertainties. BRICS envisions a world where no single nation controls the fate of global finance. Instead, power is shared, and every country has a seat at the table. It's a pragmatic approach to a more balanced system, one that aims for stability, fairness, and greater financial independence for all. BRICS is taking practical steps to reduce dollar dependence. Bilateral trade agreements now allow members to settle in local currencies, like India and UAE trading in rupees and dirhams, or China buying energy in yuan. The bloc is developing BRICS Pay, a digital platform for seamless cross-border payments. This system aims to rival SWIFT, the Western-dominated network used for international transfers and sanctions. The new development bank, or BRICS Bank, funds projects in local currencies, helping members avoid dollar-related risks. These initiatives, local currency trade, a new payment system, and a development bank, are the foundation of BRICS's de-dollarization strategy. Each successful transaction in local currency chips away at the dollar's dominance. It's a slow, steady erosion of the old system. The goal, a more balanced global financial order. Despite progress, a single BRICS currency faces huge obstacles. The bloc's economies are vastly different, China's industrial might versus Brazil's agricultural focus, for example. Crafting a unified monetary policy is nearly impossible given these differences. Political divisions, like the China-India rivalry, make deep integration unlikely. A shared currency would require immense trust and ceding sovereignty to a central authority, something members are reluctant to do. Proposals to back a BRICS coin with commodities like gold are logistically daunting. No concrete plan exists for managing or valuing such a currency. For now, the idea is more symbolic than practical. BRICS is likely to focus on strengthening local currency swaps and payment systems instead. The Chinese yuan is emerging as the leading non-dollar alternative within BRICS. China's economic weight and global trade make the yuan a logical choice for many members. However, not all BRICS nations want to swap dollar dependence for yuan dependence. India, in particular, fears replacing one hegemon with another. This tension highlights a core dilemma leveraging China's power without ceding too much influence. Some, like Russia, embrace the yuan out of necessity, while others push for equal use of all member currencies. The yuan's role will grow, but its dominance will be checked by partners' caution. The future of BRICS finance depends on balancing China's strength with the bloc's multipolar ambitions. The US dollar's dominance is deeply entrenched, woven into the very fabric of the global financial system. Most global trade and reserves are still dollar-based, with businesses and governments around the world relying on the dollar for stability and ease of transaction. US financial markets remain the world's most trusted and liquid, attracting investors seeking security and transparency. This reputation makes the dollar the ultimate safe haven during times of uncertainty or crisis. No other currency, including the yuan, currently matches the dollar's global trust and reliability. Still, the process of de-dollarization is real and gaining momentum, slowly eroding the dollar's share of global reserves as countries diversify their holdings. BRICS initiatives are accelerating this diversification, especially in regional trade agreements and cross-border settlements. The dollar's exorbitant privilege has allowed the US to borrow cheaply and run persistent deficits for decades. As the world shifts toward alternative currencies, these advantages may gradually diminish, potentially leading to higher borrowing costs for the US government and American businesses. This isn't an immediate crisis, but rather a slow-moving, long-term trend that will unfold over years. The global system is moving toward a more fragmented, multipolar currency landscape, where several currencies share influence. The US will need to adapt its policies and strategies to maintain its influence in this evolving environment. The era of unchallenged dollar supremacy is fading, ushering in a new chapter for the world economy. The shift away from the dollar has real implications for investors, businesses, and everyday people. Investors should diversify as currency volatility and new opportunities in BRICS markets grow. Businesses face both challenges and opportunities. Managing multiple currencies can reduce costs but requires new expertise. For consumers, a weaker dollar could mean higher prices for imports and travel. In BRICS countries, stronger local currencies could boost purchasing power. This is a slow evolution, not a sudden revolution. Staying informed and adaptable is key. The old certainties are fading, replaced by a more complex global system. Awareness will be the most valuable asset in this new era. The push by BRICS to reduce dollar reliance is reshaping global finance. While the dollar's immediate overthrow isn't likely, its era of unchallenged supremacy is ending. The future is a multipolar currency world, more complex, more competitive, and more reflective of today's economic realities. BRICS's success depends on managing internal differences, especially between China and India. If they build trust and credible systems, the transition will accelerate. If not, regional blocs will compete for influence. This evolution will force the US to adapt and share power. The story of BRICS is about new powers demanding a seat at the table and reshaping the world order. The destination: a global financial system less dependent on any single nation and more representative of our diverse world.